Alrighty, so I think we're just about to go live here. I'm just going to do a countdown. All right. Well, hi there, Jim. It's Tim here from Tim's Electric, and I've got Jim here from Electron Surfer down in California.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. I think another perfect day in paradise for you. I'm sure it's nice and sunny and warm. I'm actually excited because today's the day I get to go and do my first video electric scooter review of 2021. So I have Michael coming down with lots of equipment, and we're going to get out there and we're going to review the very first scooter that I'm backed up on. Hopefully things with your YouTube stream have kicked off. Any thoughts there? Have you checked into that?
I do not see anything, but we can go ahead and roll with it, and hopefully it will kick in. And
if it doesn't work this time, we're gonna have to spend some more time. So this might just be going out onto my channel, which is fine. I mean, that's great. So if you're actually watching this stream and you'd like to hop into the chat, then please go right ahead and say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. I know I've sprung this on everybody, and I have a very small channel, so it's entirely possible that nobody's watching this, and that's okay too. But you had a really intriguing idea. You wanted to talk to me today about voltages and what's the best voltage for e-scooters. And I know you've done some research, Jim. What did you find?
Well, there's this increase in voltage, it seems like, across the board. From the most anticipated scooters, the Wolf King came up in those discussions a few times, which the Wolf King is basically the Wolf Warrior with a bump in voltage. There's some other things too, but that's the meat of the situation. So I've ridden a few of those higher voltage scooters, and I'm not as performance oriented of a rider, so I kind of wanted to get your take, because you've ridden maybe more voltage ranges than I have in a lot of your reviews. So I kind of hoping that see what you think and see kind of where we land, and hopefully we get some participants can chime in on what they think are and why you might choose a voltage over another voltage.
Yeah, now, and if you're watching this video later on after the live stream, go right ahead and put down what your thoughts are on voltages with regards to scooters. My first real scooter was 48 volts, right, with the 0.9. And so I've tried everything from 52, 60, 72 is the highest I think I've tried. I think that's the 011X is probably the most powerful in volts. If I'm honest, I don't really notice much of a difference between 48 and 52. I know theory should be there. I kind of like the math on 52. If memory serves me, the number of actual batteries I did some research on this about a couple of years ago, and I think if memory serves me, 52 was a good number, but I mean, you can get 48 out of anything.
Right.
What are your thoughts on your experiences, Jim?
Well, I just did, and I don't know if you want to pull up that graph or that little table now, if that's something we can do. So I actually just did some of this morning. I had tested the 60 volt 010X, and of course that's one of those scooters that's available in multiple voltages. And I was really curious because you can see there, that's just acceleration to 100 feet, and I do it 4 times and average it.
Good.
Not a great amount of difference. And it seems to me like the 60 volt scooter, from what I'm seeing, under heavy acceleration, you get more wheel spin. So it seems like capturing that performance from a stop from 60 volts, 52 to 60 volts is difficult. And I'm curious if you kind of retain that same artifact going from 60 volts up. I find 52 volts on the 10X maybe a little bit more user-friendly because you can enjoy a little bit more of the throttle versus ramming right up against your max speed so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that Preston here, Preston Whitaker, just hopped onto the chat. How are you doing there, Preston? Thank you for popping by. He wants to learn a little bit more about voltage. I'm not sure you're going to learn lots here. With all of this information we're going to share today is a little bit more anecdotal, and you might be right. Like, so for example, I've tried, I've got the Varla actually to do a review of. I'm hoping, I mean, if it doesn't rain tomorrow, then I've got 2 more scooter reviews to do over the next couple of days, but I have a feeling it's probably going to start raining this evening. Anyway, I digress. That's the wonderful world of living on an island in the Pacific at the end of winter. It's going to rain. The 52 volts, what I've been doing is just turning everything down. Like, I go to gear 1 to make sure the turbo is off, and I always ride in dual motor. Because I don't like wheel spin. I don't want to burn through my tires. I don't want to, scream off into the distance. Now, I realize, there are younger people out there. They're just going to, 10 minutes, 72 volts or die, right? Like, I get that. But do I need that? No, I'm totally fine. I'm really happy chugging along at around 25 kilometers an hour, 32 kilometers an hour, 20 miles an hour kind of speed. Yeah. So the 52 for me, I'm also a bigger guy, right? So, a big guy on an electric scooter, I get it. 52 volts is probably a really good spot for me to be at. But I think 60 and 72, I think that's just, those are crazy numbers.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times with those, so kind of, Preston, the general idea with voltage, a real simplified version is it basically equals power on an electric scooter. So it's kind of like moving from 48 volts to 52 is kind of like going from a 4-cylinder car to maybe a 4-cylinder turbocharged. And then, you jump up to maybe a 6-cylinder at 60 volts, kind of that kind of stepwise kind of movement. But I think a lot of that's in the top speed range where me and Tim are both not the top speed demons on YouTube. So
and of course, it's also going to affect your distance. Like, it's a straight math problem, right? Like, if the battery is X and you've cranked up the voltage, you're going to have less amp hours available. In fact, I think your 010X example shows this. The battery is the same.
Right.
So it's 52 volts, 23 amp, which is going to give you more distance than a 60 volt, 21 amp. Am I wrong?
Actually, the watt hours is a multiplication of those two numbers, so they're pretty close. I didn't do the math off the top of my head. So, but you're right. A higher voltage has that potential to use that watt hour bank you're drawing from at a faster rate. So it's kind of like opening a water spigot, and you just decided to crank it open a little further. Right. And so. And I didn't do the hill climb performance yet. I'll be doing this YouTube video comparing these 3 models directly. But I think hill climb could be a part. But you said you've gotten pretty good hill climb performance on that 52 volt Varla scooter, correct?
Yes, the cat's out of the bag. I did some just quick. I went for a quick boot the other day, and I took it up the hill of death, and it ate the hill of death up, no problem.
Yeah.
So, and as I said, I'm a big guy. I'm 278 right now. Thank you very much to all the bakeries here in Victoria and to COVID for making my life awesome. Giving me the excuses not to go to the gym. It ate right up. So for me, it scoots up the side of a hill, the steepest hills that we have around town, no problem. It's got plenty of range. It's a terrific machine.
Right.
So 52 was... I'm pretty happy with.
So, Preston, I mean, have you ridden different voltages scooters? Like, what scooter voltage have you ridden that you might,
Yeah, go ahead. Put that down in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. But moving forwards, I mean, there are some 36 volt scooters out there. The jump from 36 to 48 is significant, obviously, by the math. Just 12 more volts, it does make a big difference.
Oh yeah.
But am I noticing 52 to 48? I'm noticing more. It has to do with the size of the motors. The Varla has 2 1,000 watt motors on it, and then if I compare that to like the Cruiser, which is was that like a 600-watt motor, or it's hard to know exactly what it is, but it feels like that's probably about where it's at. Maybe it peaks out at 800 or 900 watts, but that struggle's going up hills in comparison.
Oh yeah, totally. That's that scooter is not the hill climbing beast.
No, and it failed on the hill of death, which is, for me, it's just a really simple thing to look at. So, I was going to mention as well. He's ridden the 010X, which was the lowest spec model. That's his only experience. That's a lovely machine. The 010X is really quite a lovely machine, Preston. So,
yeah, and that was still the 52 has still got you a pretty significant amount of performance. I'm seeing on that. You can still break fresh off a charge. You can still break the tires loose if you're in turbo mode, dual motor mode, easily. Which, of course, dry pavement's not that big of a deal, but wet pavement, you could get yourself into some trouble.
Yeah, we got plenty of wet pavement around here.
Right.
So I thought I was going to segue out of unless you have anything else you want to cover off with the voltages of e-scooters. Is there a decision, or is there sort of what would you say to somebody who's interested? Is this something they need to get hung up on, or?
I think it really would, I think all these scooter buying decisions are really kind of what your main use is going to be. And if you're a cruising around type and you're wanting to cover some distances, having 52 volts is probably good. But if you really want that performance increase, if you're somebody who just wants to feel that speed rush, there's a lot of scooters that give you that 60 and up experience. I haven't tested any of the 72 volt scooters yet, so I can't quantify what that jump is. But I think that jump's big.
Yeah. Well, the 11X was unbelievably. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a big guy. That thing just about tore me right off it. So.
Oh yeah.
It's really, really, really. The Wolf scooters, Preston was saying 72 volts. Yeah, the 11X, 72 volts. Dualtron, is it the X2? That's 72?
Yeah, it's 72. I think they might even have an 80 volt scooter coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's crazy. So anyways, I thought I'd share that with you. So I think you're bang on there, Jim. Any news in the industry? I was just going to share with you. I'll share my screen here.
Yeah. Share away. Share the love.
Whoops. I'm going to hide that one and add something. I saw this today. One of the channels that I watch religiously is called the Fully Charged Show, and they're out in the UK, and they do some really cool things. But one of the things they do is he was here. Let me just show you exactly what I'm talking about. They collaborated. He did a voiceover for this, the truth behind or truth about combustion engine vehicles. I don't know if you ever get these crazy questions from people. I get people asking me, well, like where I live in British Columbia, our electricity, our electrical grid is about 95% provided through hydro water, right, from dams.
Right.
But, big chunks of the world aren't. Some places are doing coal-fired and what have you. And this video, and I'm going to put a link down there. Oh, yeah, Frankie was just mentioning about the VSET 10R, another monster of a machine. But what the comparison is, they're not comparing apples to apples. If you're in the U.S. and you're predominantly coal-fired plants and nuclear, then that's where you're getting most of your electricity from. It's not fair to say that it's dirty, therefore it's bad to own a Tesla, what have you, because there's the actual act of pulling the oil out of the ground. There's the actual emissions from the car itself is created. So I thought this particular video is really well done. It's actually made by a guy in the U.S., and the voiceover is done by the host of Fully Charged, and I just thought it was really, really well done. So I'm going to put a link to that down below and share it with the viewers in the notes. Highly recommend the channel, Fully Charged.
Right. Yeah. I definitely want to check that out as well. Now that VSET, have you seen any of the VSETs yet at Ride the Glide, or do they have them in yet?
No, they haven't. If memory serves me, VSET is a division or an umbrella company of Zero. And it's my understanding that if you're selling one or the other, you sell one or the other, not both. So
okay.
I suspect that they have to decision to make as to whether to go one way or the other. So I've never actually seen a VSET. I'm looking forward to at least trying one out at some point. Have you seen one live?
No, I have not, and I don't really have them available yet to me for a while. But it looks, that's a 60 volt spec scooter with 1400 watt rated motors. So you'd expect some Wolf Warrior like performance with that motor spec with a pretty slick looking setup, and with their folding mechanisms look spot on those.
Yeah, they do look really, really nice. I'll just do a quick, let's see here. I'll share the screen again just so people know what we're talking about. They look really, really good. I think that looks amazing.
Right. Yeah.
But and 60 volts, as you mentioned, dual 1400 watts. That's awesome.
Now, like for Frankie J. Kennedy that chimed in there, do you think does that VSET model appeal more than the corresponding zero? I just made up a word there, but like the zero model, like I know there's a lot of improvements between the two, but I'm curious about what people think about this yellow black versus a yellow red and some other the feel of it. These will be a little more premiumly priced as well, I'm pretty sure.
I like the folding mechanism.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool, and I liked the color setup of it. Ultimately, I would need to take it and test ride it. Kyle says he'd rather have the 10X Limited. That's a nice machine. I've got to do a 10X Limited versus 10X 52 volt and compare the two so people get an idea, because they're quite different, even though you think they're going to be really, really similar. There's quite a different ride and quite a different experience on the 10X Limited than the 10X.
And I gotta admit, I'm a dealer for Rev Rides, and I don't know anything about the 10X Limited.
Well, it's unique because it has the battery on the stem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can pull one up really fast here.
Maybe it's something that's not in the U.S. right now. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you that they have them here. I'll just pull up the Ride the Glide up here in Canada, my local amazing crew. There it is. Yeah, this is where I get...
Oh, Falcon. Okay, thanks, Kyle.
What's that?
Oh, Kyle just said it's available through Falcon in the U.S.
Okay. So, that's it there. You can see the battery on the stem at the front.
So is it got double the battery, or is it all moved into that other battery? Do you know?
When I do the full review, I'm gonna have all my facts. But if memory serves me, it has to do with the controller and the controller size. The controller is so big that it actually takes up the entire deck. And then the battery is actually at the front.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess, and I don't know why technically. Maybe you do, but the controller itself has a lot to do with the distribution of power and power management.
Right. Yeah, the controller is kind of that link between really your output on your motors. If people care, is you basically take your battery voltage, and that is varying over time as you ride the scooter, times the output of your controller, and that really gives you your actual real wattage at your motors. The labeling on the motors is really just an artifact of their rating, so it kind of has to do with their magnets and windings. So it's not a direct, like a 1400 watt motor isn't necessarily 1400 watts. It could be twice that, depending on what's flowing into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, I'm going to have to do a review of that as well. Now, the good news for me, as I mentioned earlier, reviews are going to start literally in about half an hour. I get out there for the first time in 2021. I know you're already into it, doing bike reviews. What else are you doing these days? Have you got what's up for you now?
I got a couple scooter reviews in the works, and then I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a detailed breakdown of the 3 battery options for the 10X. And I'm going to do a 25-mile loop with each one and kind of compare battery usage and, some I don't know. I'm just going to get out there and ride the heck out of them.
That's great.
But I got a bunch. I got a Mantis Pro, Wolf Warrior. I got a lot of stuff to crank out.
And 25 miles for my Canadian friends, 40 kilometers, that's a long way.
Yeah.
That's got to take a big chunk of time. I always get exhausted when I did the run on the distance run on the cruiser.
Oh boy,
I was exhausted afterwards. But so if you guys are watching this, please do give it a thumbs up. But even if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. I don't mind. Just give it a thumb of some kind. If you haven't subscribed to Electron Surfer, Jim's awesome. Make sure you subscribe to him. If you haven't already subscribed, if you have subscribed to me, but you want to play with my mind a little bit, I broke the 1,500 subscriber mark. So if you unsubscribe today, then I'll get down to $14.99.
Yeah.
So leave your comments down below. I'm thinking what we're going to try and do here is Jim and I are basically just testing out this type of server and software. We're just having a little fun with it. We know we'd like to hop on and answer questions and chat a little bit about electric scooters, electric bikes. And so this is a bit of an experiment. Maybe we'll do this again next week and slowly but surely get a little bit better at doing live streams.
Yeah. And anybody that's on this, shoot, if you have a topic you want us to cover, shoot it out. I'll talk about anything.
Yeah, no, Jim's are good that way. I think at the end of the day, Jim will talk about anything. Yeah, we also have an awful lot of experience, right?
Right.
I mean, and that's something I'm really, really if it hadn't been for my local Ride the Clyde, you've got your local companies down there with is it Rev Rides?
Yeah, Rev Rides is nothing's really local to me, but I have some stuff within shipping distance.
Okay.
Yeah.
You put a finish on the front. Wow, that's nuts, Kyle. 72 volts. Falcon PEV. Well, I'm delighted to do this with you. I just think that as we get a little bit more polished and a little bit more, you and I both deliver videos and we deliver to our audiences a very straightforward approach. No BS. What we like, what we don't like. I try to hop on and just share my thoughts and try to be just genuine. I am a big guy, so that means that my experience on some of the smaller scooters isn't going to be great. But I also realize that, on this planet, there are other big guys out there that, might actually like to ride around on a scooter. So if you have questions, please do go right ahead. Pop on my channel. I respond to every single comment. Jim, I think you probably have a similar...
Yeah, I try to. If there's sometimes the comments get lost somewhere, I've had some that don't actually. I get a notification, but I can't ever find them, so I don't know what happens.
So you're doing the best you can to reply.
I'm doing the best I can. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, why don't we finish it up here? Unless there's anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap up.
I think we're good. I appreciate everybody that popped on.
If you are watching this on my channel, do move over to Jim's. Give him a subscriber or two. He's way ahead of me, but give him more subscribers. Feel the love all the way down in California. Thanks so much, Jim, for taking the time today. That was really awesome to see. And thank you, everybody. Thank you to Kyle and Preston and Frankie and all those that popped in the chat and said hello. Thank you all the way from Canada and California. Thanks, guys. Take care. Be safe. We're